I'm Stefanie Mosca, and we're here in Austin, Texas at IT Expo West 2011. And I'm joined today by Dena Skrbina, Senior Director of Solutions Marketing for Nuance. How are you today, Dena?
I'm great, Stefanie. How are you?
Good. Thank you for being here today. So for our viewers who aren't as familiar, why don't you tell us a little bit about who Nuance is, and then we'll jump into some of the announcements and news you guys have going on.
Sure. Well, Nuance is a very large company, and we have technologies that span across multiple different kinds of organizations. So we have healthcare technologies, imaging technologies, consumer technologies. You may have heard of something like Dragon, naturally speaking, for the computer PC. And then we also have a customer experience and customer relationship management division. And that's the division here that I'm from, and I want to talk to you today about what we're doing in the customer care space.
Great, so let's jump right into that.
Yeah, so primarily what I do in my job is I help companies look at whether or not a hosted solution for delivering these kinds of technologies, these kinds of solutions for their customers makes sense. And our hosted platform is called Nuance On Demand. And what Nuance On Demand is a platform with all of the Nuance technology stacks available to deliver solutions. So think about speech recognition, natural language, mobile technologies, all of those things are available, and you get that power of being able to use them across channels with your customers. The other thing that Nuance On Demand does that's a little bit different is we also make innovation available to our customers. So maybe there's a technology that's not yet a product, but it's an engineer idea or something that the customer has brought to us as a new idea.
Okay.
And we put all those within the technology stack and make those available as well.
And recently you've kind of you've been working with US Airways.
Yeah, US Airways is actually a great example of a customer that's taking advantage of all of those things. So they recently deployed an inbound IVR application, so a self-service application that is driven using your voice. So when you call into US Airways, you get a phenomenal user experience first off. You're greeted by name. So the system actually matches the number you're calling from, brings up your profile kind of behind the scenes, and then greets you by name.
Great.
And what's interesting about that, not only is it, you said great, it's a great experience for you, but in our usability testing, we learned that consumers find a system more productive and more reliable when you greet the caller by name. So it wasn't just that they liked the experience, they actually rate it as higher performing.
Really?
So we greet the caller by name. And then the other interesting thing we're doing is we're proactively telling the caller information based on context. So, I'm a frequent traveler, you probably are as well, and what happens quite often is, I call my airline and then I have to go through a series of menus, or I have to make a request to find out, did I get that upgrade, that coveted upgrade I'm waiting for, or is my flight on time, or I want to check in. What we do is we look at how far in advance of maybe a booked travel that you have, and based on that information, we just tell you whether or not you got your upgrade. We tell you if your flight is on time, what gate you're departing out of. So without doing a single thing, you're greeted by name, and a lot of information is given to you proactively.
So you seem to be having a lot of positive feedback from your customers. Do you take that into consideration when updating services or creating new ones?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a great point. One of the things I didn't talk about is a new technology, a new innovation that was brought to the platform through ideas that not only our engineers had, but that US Airways had. So US Airways is doing a lot of initiatives these days to improve their customer satisfaction. And this voice experience is just one. And one of the things that they challenge us to do, and we challenge ourselves quite frankly, is to have a great sounding experience. And when you call your airline and you're getting information on flights, a lot of the information that's being delivered to you, the audio, is being assembled dynamically. So there's all these bits of audio pieces that are cobbled together before the information is spoken. We actually came up with a brand new technology, the next generation of our prompt assembly engine that we're using with this application, so that the prompts, the thing that you hear sounds really natural even when all the prompts are concatenated together.
Okay, great. And what are you seeing as being prevalent trends right now in terms of voice communications, IVR?
Well, I think, mobile is changing everything. And one of the trends we're seeing is this blending or blurring, if you will, of the voice experience and the mobile app experience. So imagine, if you will, calling your airline, just like the US Airways example I told you, and hearing, hi, Stefanie, thanks for calling, but then at the same time, rather than maybe having the IVR speak information to you, the mobile app pops up with all of that relevant information. What gate you're departing from, did you get that that upgrade.
Right.
And then also, maybe you being able to speak to that application, hey, I want to book a flight to Chicago, or I want to change my flight, and then having your voice fill in the form. So you can see that there's kind of this blending or blurring of mobile smartphone apps and the IVR. Voice is going to be kind of coming from the cloud to your mobile app, as well as being resident in the IVR. So as a consumer, you might not know if you're dealing with an IVR or if you're interacting strictly with your mobile app.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say too. It's great to know that there's a solution out there. I mean, when you have an automated call, sometimes it can be, the experience can be less than desirable. So personalizing it could definitely make a difference, and I think that I can see where the customer feedback will be really positive.
Yep, absolutely.
So what can we look forward to in the near future in terms of what the company is doing as well as what's happening in the industry?
Well, I think this adoption of hosted solutions is going to change the game quite a lot. And the reason is that now that you've got all of these technologies at your disposal, so you're going to see enterprises very quickly adopting the scenarios that I talked about, with this blending of IVR and mobile applications. Speech is everywhere. Most of or a large portion, almost 50% of the searches that are done today on a mobile app are done using your voice.
Right.
And you can see people will be interacting with mobile apps to work with their carriers, their banks in the future.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Dena, and filling us in on what's been going on with Nuance.
Thank you for having me.